And welcome everyone to a broadcast here from Nerd TV on a Sunday night here, where you're going to catch us every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This time we're coming at you live with the Global Racing Series Truck Series from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Not raining here like the real life, so we're going to have some racing for you this evening. And on the weather on your screen right now, 70 degrees in the air, 33% humidity, which is completely opposite as of right now. Partly cloudy and 4-mile-an-hour winds, which means nothing for these guys. It should be a fun one here this evening. And my name is Jeremy Stanley. To my right-hand side, Jason Rockefeller. Welcome back for 2024, man.
Yeah, man, I'm ready to go. It's going to be another year of busting Dustin's chops and, busting your chops as well. So I'm really excited, man. I know I missed the duels last week, obviously got sidetracked a little bit. Was kind of questioning if I was even going to be here today, but obviously due to the Daytona 500 rainout, now moved to tomorrow at 4. We're here, man. I'm ready to go. 2024. We've been looking forward to the start of our Nerd TV, season for a while. We had it last week with the duels, obviously. And from what I saw, it looked like those are really fun. Steve Knight won duel number 1, and JJ McCoy won duel number 2. These guys are in for a really, really close experience tonight with these trucks. It should be a fun one for sure.
Yeah, this team, the starting 1-2, like this team is so strong. They have 4 or 5 trucks out there, and the duel 1 and duel 2, they kind of split themselves in those groupings. And the way they work together, you're going to see a lot of some excellent teamwork from this team here this evening. And looks about 25 entries in total for tonight's race, 100 laps. You got 100% fuel tanks. They're going to go, probably 1 to 2 green flag pit stops if it goes green the whole way. No tires, or sorry, no fast repairs. 3 sets of tires at this newer Daytona. Next to nothing as far as worthiness. So don't expect any pitch strategies from that this evening. And yeah, this is great, man. Start this thing off right. 2024. Looking for an even better year. You're gonna see a bunch of new graphics that Dustin's put together over the course of this year, and happy to bring this to you. And there's no qualifying. You mentioned there's duel 1 and duel 2. That means anything's already settled, right? So we're just going to go straight into it here. And then the lights got turned off as we kicked it over to the race session. So with that being said, we're going to wait for the next couple seconds here, Jason. And once this grid starts to roll in, we're going to go down tonight's running order for the 100 laps here at Daytona. P number 1, you're going to find Steve Knight, second place. You're going to find Alexander. I know, Dustin, you kind of helped me with this one, but it's not happening. Encarnacion, I think I did that right. Danny White, third place. JJ McCoy in 4th. Chad McGinley in 5th. Stephen Hayes in 6th. Joshua Slade will start in P7. Bobby Mantle in the 89 will be starting in 8th place. Adam Thompson in 9th. And then the 24 of EJ Luna will be tonight's top 10 starting spot.
And then you got all the way down to your top 20 here, and I'll probably butcher some names just like you, Jeremy. We have Austin McGill there in the number 99 machine. He'll start 11th alongside Mark Sherwood in the 44 machine. Row number 7, DJ Honeycutt and Shane Weldon Sr. in the 77. Michael Dow in the 60. Ron Harrington round out row number 8. Row number 9 goes to Kenny Heath in the number 5 machine. And John DiMatteo in the number 26. And rounding out your top 20 in row number 10 goes to John Howard in the 78. And Mike Hayes in the number 1.
21st, number 20, Tyler Honeycutt. 22nd place in the 85 will be Justin LeBlanc. 23rd place, number 46, Bradley Miner. 24th place in the 33, Ronald Holmes. 25th in the 81 will be Carlos Enriquez. 26th place will be the number 6 of Michael Lester. And tonight's last place truck in 27th is the number 31 of Zach Hollinger. 27 entries, 100 laps. And we're going to be starting this thing almost complete sunset. And then, of course, the night lights will be on and will be completely dark before this thing hits checker flag here this evening. And if you guys did not tune in for the dual races with this league and you're brand new to the broadcast for us, expect some really good racing. I got some high expectations here this evening, Jason.
Yeah, and I think honestly, if I really want to keep my eye obviously on one driver to look out for this season, I'd probably say it's Chad McGinley. I mean, you look at his stats last season; he was the most consistent driver according to the Sim Racing Hub or SimRacerHub.com stats. He had 31 starts, 5 wins, 18 top fives, and 25 top 10. So over half the starts he started in, over half of those were all top 10s, nearly all top five. So I think Chad McGinley is going to be one to reckon with. Obviously, he starts, I believe, around that 5th spot in that 3rd row. I think he is definitely going to be one to look out for in that 65 Toyota Tundra. Man, Jeremy, I'm really excited to kick off 2024 with you and Dustin, man. This is going to be a great show. Happy to bring it to the folks here.
100% here. Pace truck is down. Ghost Motorsports driver SC Knight taking the green flag, and here we are. Race is underway here, 100 laps. The inside gets a great jump there with Knight leading the 64 of Danny White coming off the trial into turn number 1. Of course, the 79 looks to be clear. They're going to be side by side. The 13 in the Whataburger machine, that being Stephen Hayes. He's going to drop down to the bottom. Huge lineup there on the bottom, entering 1 and 2.
Yeah, this outside lane is going to get kind of formed up the best they can, but right now everybody kind of wants to be, calm, cool, and collective. Remember, this is 100 laps at a 2.5-mile oval, or D-shaped oval, so you do the math. It's going to be really interesting to see. Looks like this bottom lane is getting lined up pretty well, but those outside trucks right there up on the top, led by Alexander Encarnacio there. He's doing a really good job leading the 22 with J.J. McCoy, one of those dual winners from duel number 2. Those guys trying to lead the outside lane now as everybody's starting to get grouped back up together here as they hit the line this time by. It's a complete lap number 1, only 99 more to go.
It almost looks like it's going to be duel number 2 image here. Duel number 1 was completely single file. Number 2 was side by side, and it looks like that's how we're going to start this 100-miler off for the season opener for the Global Racing League. And right now the 79 still leads the bottom there by 1 car length over the first person on the top side there. As they're going halfway down the back straightaway, a lot of movement, trying to shift from positions. The outside seems to start to fall apart here as the inside is growing in numbers.
Yeah, it's definitely growing in numbers, obviously, but trust me, Jeremy, as these guys continue to run around here on the high banks of Daytona, they're going to get impatient. Nobody's going to want to ride in line. They're going to want to jump up to that outside lane. And that's the thing about Daytona compared to a Talladega Super Speedway, is that this outside lane is so dominant off the corners. You come off turn 2, you come off turn 4. If you can get the run, you have the help behind you. If you're side drafting, you will in fact get that run big enough off these corners to be able to project yourself further ahead into this field, or even to the lead, like you see the number 94 machine doing right now, coming off turn 2. He's got help from J.J. McCoy right back behind him. They're all nose to tail. Still 4 trucks really up on the top side until you get back to that 5th black truck in line. It's about 3 to 4 truck lengths back. And you see Encarnacio, he goes right to the top of the racetrack, all the way to the front. But now give it back to Steve Knight as they come off turn number 4 this time.
Alexander had the best chance to lead this lap, but getting to 3 and 4, the 64 there of Danny White really propelled SC Knight back to the lead, and it was a drag race to the start-finish line. The 79 will continue to lead this event on lap number 4, as those 4 trucks on the top are utilizing side draft perfectly, and they're keeping that momentum on the top side here. But you're not going to see too much 3 wide here. Recently, these trucks have just not been good 3 wide racing, so expect a lot of 2 wide racing. And look at that top side there down the back straightaway. They are growing in numbers. A lot of trucks shifted up. 3 and 4, they're almost equal in numbers heading off into 3.
Yeah, it's something too, Jeremy. You talk about these trucks, they haven't really been handling lately, but you think about compared to last year's season opener here at Daytona, which actually was won, I believe, by last season's season finale winner, Michael Hayes. He won the season finale at Phoenix. He also won the season opener last year at Daytona. Remember, the pushing at Daytona was way different before many, many updates throughout the 2023 season here in iRacing. You couldn't necessarily push the truck in front of you. You would jack up the rear. They would get really squirrely, and you couldn't really push. It was almost like it was in real life. But obviously now, with a few updates since, iRacing's, been doing in the past year, you could push these trucks really, really hard like you used to be able to a couple years ago, let's say. You could really stay hooked to somebody. You just got to be really, really careful here as we ride on board one of our IROC 93.5 onboard drivers, Ron Harrington, coming off turn number 4, the driver from North Brunswick, New Jersey, almost close to my neck of the woods, actually. I see him coming through the tri-oval. He's just trying to really maintain that gap. You don't want to be able to push the pusher, too. That's something you're going to be talking about probably all night long. We saw it a lot in the Truck Series race on Friday, created a record 12 cautions, something that you should not be proud of. I'm sure those guys probably took note of that race on Friday and also their duel from last week as well.
Look at the Chevrolet grill on this 57 from Harrington. I've seen a lot of people black it out and bleed the color through, but not many people make that chrome bumper happen, and that thing looks so good here as the nightfall is about to fully set in. Just that sun reflection off the chrome. It looks amazing. We're heading off into turn 3 and 4 right now, and onto the front stretch. You see another truck that has that similar grill set up there. Looks like the 78 of John Howard. So a couple cool designs there on the noses of these Chevrolet Silverados. And just a quick mention, if you expected us on Facebook, we are not there this evening, but we'll be back there next Sunday. So right now, YouTube is the place to find us. And so make sure you subscribe to both pages to make sure you catch all the content every Tuesday and Sunday to start off 2024. But Jason, they are equal in numbers now on the back straightaway. Encarnacio led lap number 6. And so let's see if you can go back to back with this top side building momentum.
Yeah, and this is a thing, obviously, like we just talked about, Jeremy, a handful of laps ago, is that guys were going to get impatient running the bottom. They were going to start to see that outside lane kind of form up. And if anything, if you really take a close look, if we look from like this, just this angle alone, this top lane actually has way more trucks than it does on that bottom side. So this outside lane is probably going to be able to project themselves right towards this lead. You have Encarnacio, he's up there, up on the top of the racetrack, still leading with the number 22 of JJ McCoy running on his bumper. They're versing the 2 bottom side. That's still Steve Knight and the 64 of Danny White in that Ford F-150. They just got to really be careful. We talked about pushing the pusher as well. You don't want to do that, and you certainly don't want to cause a wreck here very early on at Daytona. Because remember, too, Jeremy, no faster pairs. You see the number 94, he'll jump down to the race lead. Had enough of that top side, he'll jump down in front of Steve Knight for the race lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, drivers are able to go 25 laps, I think, at maximum last week here in the duels. So we'll see something similar, and they break the race up into 4s. Right now, they keep it really clean. A lot of space given between the inside and outside lanes. It's a lot of respect going on early on in the season race opener of 2024. And I see Donnie Honeycutt earlier on the YouTube side. Put good luck, Ghost Motorsports. If you guys are listening to this, we got one truck, Encarnacio, to the bottom here. Not sure if he gave it up by himself or had help, but either way, he's going to go below the yellow line and drop down to the tail end of the field. He's going to be really slow because he's on that banking or the apron transition, and it's going to knock him out of the draft. And no, save it. Good job there, but he's now all of a sudden in need of a caution.
Very, very interesting. Maybe Dustin could try to get us a replay. And I know, Dustin, I'm going to be that nagging guy like I usually am now that it's a new year. So, you know, I don't know. It looks like he got a shove, Jeremy, from that onboard we were on with one of those Grim Reaper Motorsports machines. But it also looked like he kind of just jerked the wheel out to the left and really just wanted to go to the back of the field. And the thing is that I don't understand what Alex was doing is he had enough time to come back up on the racetrack here. And actually, it doesn't even look like he got a bump as we take it back one more time here. And you can see that truck is about half a truck length off of him, closing up. And looks like, yeah, he just dives out of line. Maybe he got a little, but from the looks of it, it looks like he purposely did that. I'm just going to say that he did. Not going to make any assumptions, but just from my point of perspective, I think he did. But the thing is that I don't understand here is that he comes up on the racetrack in the center of 3 and 4. They would have been able to give him enough room if he would have been able to just come back up on the racetrack. And now that puts him in a bad position to, what if, you know, this race goes green for a very long time? He's in the back all by himself with no drafting help. You go back, he is 9 seconds off the leader, over 5 seconds back from Michael Lester Sr., who was the last car in that pack in 26th. And you see him all the way back there in that red and yellow machine. So I think Alexander Encarnacio, I think he's in a really, really bad spot. He's definitely going to need a caution, like you said.
Yeah, 100%. And when he shifted out of lane, this top 10 kind of got all mixed up. Right now, last lap, JJ McCoy in the 22 took the advantage on the inside. Now dropped to 79 there. SC Knight back to 5th last lap and going to be 5th place this lap here. 3rd truck on the inside lane. The outside is now led by that number 12 Ghost Energy machine there of Joshua Slade. P3 at the line last time. Now dead heat going to turns 1 and 2 here. It took him a couple laps to get really formed back together, and now since they're there, let's see if they can able to keep this line going, keep this momentum to kind of contend right now with the 22 McCoy's going to actually shift up the track, going to do a little bit of draft work here. It's going to open the door for the 89 of Bobby Mantle. He's going to get to the inside. Teammates from Ghost Motorsports holding the top and bottom here.
And here's the thing, very, very good heads-up driving by Shane Weldon there up on the top side to be able to back it off. Not enough off the corner there into turn number 3 because he saw the 22 of McCoy come up, block the run from Joshua Slade. Slade gave him that push. 77 didn't exactly even come back to the bumper of the number 12. Again, we're going to say one more time, pushing the pusher. That was some really heads-up driving by Shane Weldon there to not push the 12 into the 22 because that is definitely how you start wrecks here at Daytona for sure.
100% and correction on my part there from Dustin, my producer in my ear. Appreciate you as always. Grim Reaper Motorsports was leading the top and bottom there for just a moment. Now they're going to hold the bottom and see that bright yellow spoiler. That's my key there, so that they're Grim Reaper, not Ghost. On the outside there, the number 12 is led by Joshua Slade. He's actually owner of One Motorsports. He's continuing to run that charge on the top, but they fell back just a little bit there, Jason. He's going to fall back 3 truck lengths now side by side with the 64, who's 4th in line on the bottom. And that outside is starting to just, they're not as close to one another as the bottom is, and that is definitely affecting their speed up there as they continue to slip back there as the inside takes charge.
Yeah, they're just not really close enough to those guys on the inside lane to be able to really make a charge. They can do it off the corners, but even with them being about a truck width off that middle line right there, because they're basically at the top. You think about it, yes, that is the top of the racetrack, but then right in between those, that's the middle line. You can go 3 wide here. 4 wide is kind of a stretch. 5 wide, definitely not obviously something you want to do, but, you know, they just got to really get grouped up. I think if they probably could get Steve Knight to jump up top with Joshua Slade, I can imagine they would be able to make a really, really good job here as you look at the keys of victory presented by Victory Fuel. That's flavored electrolyte water, and you see no pushing the pusher. We already talked about that. Top line definitely has the momentum. We already, you know, touched upon with that. Find your partner. You definitely want to do that, but I tell you what, boys, if it comes to the end of the race, there is no such thing as partners. You find what you can get, and obviously avoid the big one. We've seen, obviously, in the duels, there were some big ones. You think back to Thursday night for the NASCAR Cup Series Daytona 500. They had a big one in duel number 2. We saw many wrecks on Friday night in both, you know, the truck race and the ARCA brake race, the ARCA race. So, you know, it's really interesting to see if these guys are going to be able to hold their lines properly, not do everything that you shouldn't do. But they're doing a really good job at it right now here as we're approaching lap number 17 up on the board.
And those 4 keys to victory, these guys, every single super speedway race, you need to put that on your dashboard and to remind yourself not to do anything to, if you're 3rd truck in line trying to push the guy in front of you, especially in the corners, you can't do it in the straightaways. You might accidentally hook somebody else because you don't know where they are pushing the main truck in front of the line. So definitely you got to keep in check of that. I know you're trying to win the race, and but you just cannot do that. So good notes there for the keys to victory here this evening. The big one, obviously, you're along for the ride. If it happens, you just have to play wreck avoidance, and some people are good at it, some people aren't. And if you watch the truck race here yesterday, or rather on Friday night, that was not the case at all. But you know, the 12 here is starting to make some ground here with the 77 Lazy Lizard machine of Shane Wielden. Almost gets directly side by side to JJ McCoy, but they're just going to get a little more formed up, I think, which the 57, Jason, there of Ron Harrington, just cannot close up to the 77, which I think is the downfall of why they can't get to the lead.
Yeah, these guys definitely got to start side drafting. I mean, obviously, you're in no rush to get to the front right now at all. You know, you still have nearly 80 laps to go. You don't want to put yourself in a position that you don't want to, but it also doesn't help, too. You notice that this machine right here at the top, that 77 of Shane Wielden Sr., he's kind of drifting up. He's not really right directly on the back bumper of Joshua Slade throughout these corners. He's got to stay tucked up right behind him. The same goes for that 57 of Ron Harrington. If they could all just get formed up like they're starting to right now, they will be able to take that top line to the moon and to the lead here as you ride on board with the 57 machine. You see him riding just about a half a truck width above where the 22 is in the draft, and it looks like that 12, he's got a little bit of a run down this backstretch. But those Grim Reaper Motorsport guys on the bottom of J.J. McCoy and Bobby Mantle, man, they are really hooked up along with Steve Knight, their teammate as well, back to 3.
Couple of strong movers so far into this race, 18 laps in. Shane Wielden being one of those in the 77. Started 14th up to 5th place that last lap, so 9 positions for him. Also 9 positions gained for the 57 of Harrington. Also 9 positions gained is the 26 of John Mateo. So those guys are crept through the field, through the draft, even though it's only been 2 by 2 by 2. For the most part, though, these guys have been able to go back and forth, inside, outside, trying to make any moves possible. Now, one thing I did see last week, there was, or at least in a race I broadcasted on Wednesday, if you go to that sucker hole, there is actually some speed to be found. No one's found it yet here tonight, but I saw a couple of vehicles make that move to the middle, and it moved them up 10 spots in a single lap. You just got to have the confidence in your setup to get the job done with that notion.
Yeah, and also, I mean, not only is it with confidence, because if there's one thing too, Jeremy, that I was taught on iRacing is if you really want a position, if that gap is open, go for it. It's everybody else's problem to have to avoid you. You're the smart one being able to commit to that move. It's just everybody else around you that you got to really, be worrisome of. Because you think about it, let's say the 57 machine of Ron Harrington, he wants to go to the middle. He knows he can do it. Maybe the 77 of Shane Wielden doesn't feel comfortable going put 3 wide up on the top side. So that's where you really got to think to yourself, do I really want to try to go 3 wide, put it through the middle, put it to the top, put it to the bottom, wherever you may be? You got to really be careful of moments like those, because that's something that you could really see become an issue. As you see this 77 machine, he is all over the racetrack of Shane Wielden, Sr. there, right behind that 12 still of Joshua Slade, just not able to really close up to the bumper. And when he does, he's really all over the place right now.
Yeah, absolutely here. And we're going to do our first sponsor read of this evening before we see pit stops happen. Of course, our long-term partner at Martin Sports. Small-time company with a big-time products. They got the best sim gloves, I believe, in sim racing. They're really durable. You keep your hands nice and dry over a long endurance race. And they come in multiple sizes, a bunch of colors, customize whatever you want. They got it there at martinsports.gg. They also make hoodies, t-shirts with full sublimation printing, and they have one of the fastest turnarounds in the business. So get your team set up, whether it be for the sim racing world or others. Go to martinsports.gg and use promo code SUPERNERD. It'll save you 25% off your entire purchase.
Tell you what, Jeremy, I was using my Martin Sports gloves earlier when I was testing IndyCar at the Indianapolis road course, and I think those Martin Sports gloves gave me about an extra 0.2 worth of speed there. Definitely the most comfortable gloves, and some of these guys, like maybe that 77, might need a pair after this one, with him being all over the racetrack. And if I were that 12 of obviously Joshua Slade, I would be a little worried with the 77 moving around as much as he is. And I mean, and I could only imagine that's probably why Ron Harrington isn't closing that gap like he is. You see him, he's kind of just drifting back. Look at the 77 all over the racetrack. The 57 could easily take that position, but you gotta think, Jeremy, just like we mentioned a handful of minutes ago, you gotta obviously be worried about the other guys, if they can handle those opportunities of when you're gonna pass them. Do they feel comfortable being put in a very vulnerable spot? Maybe like that 77 could very well be. We're just going to have to find out, because this bottom lane is still really good right now and lined up well.
Yeah, they definitely have the numbers, almost a 2-to-1 ratio right now. And just continuing to watch the 77 and the 57. That's your second and third truck on the top. Ron Harrington does not have the truck. He's either being really conservative on the throttle, or he just cannot close up to the 77. And that is continuing to not allow this number 12 here of Joshua Slade to make any advancement on these Grim Reaper Motorsports trucks, who are just dominating the inside lane. The first 3 trucks in the bottom lane right there. Then you got your first non-Grim Reaper truck, Lone Star truck number 64, Danny White. And a little bit more spacing happening on about mid-pack. has down. The 12 is falling back behind the 64, and they continue to fall back. But this might be part of pit stop strategy. We're going to be seeing pit stops happen real shortly, so you need to get to the bottom if you're coming down here real soon.
Yeah, you're probably going to see these pit stops happen around between lap 30 to probably 38, I would say. I mean, that was when we started to see them in the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series I called back on Thursday night on FTN. That was when you started to see it. You saw guys trying to take the undercut, group up with a group of teammates that they knew, whether it be the Team Conti guys or, you know, the Premier Racing setup guys. It didn't matter. You tried to find the guys that you trusted get into pit road, and that's probably what you're starting to see. I mean, you look at the Grim Reaper Motorsport guys there. They're 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. They're sitting really pretty there. And, I mean, they have a couple other trucks back behind them. They really are in a great position being on that bottom side for when it does come time to pit stops. But we've seen time and time again here, Jeremy, at Daytona and Talladega, where you try to get onto pit road going from 190, 195, 200 miles an hour nearly, and you're trying to get it slowed down to about 50, 55 miles an hour on pit road speed. It is hard to do. We've seen a lot of wrecks. We saw some in the duels. We saw some, obviously, on Friday night for the Truck Series. It's going to be really tough, so you really got to pay attention for when those green flag pit stops do start happening.
You got to know where your pit crew's at as well. So if you're, you know, one of the first stalls on pit road, make sure you get down to the bottom early to allow some other people to get to the top side of you, because sometimes you enter these pit roads side by side with the big packs that you kind of join in with, and thankfully there's a bunch of braking markers that you can practice hitting, but ultimately when you're in race mode, sometimes you miss those and try to maximize what you can, and it might snap you and might ruin your whole race here, or not halfway, a quarter of the way through this event, lap number 25 in the books on lap 26 here, and there's just continuing to see everyone move down to the bottom. There's only 4 trucks now on the top. Every single truck other than those 4 are right in the yellow line right now, headed on the back straightaway to turn number 3. And Jason, I think you said lap 38. I might think that they're going to be pitting a lot sooner, just how formal they are on the bottom right now.
Yeah, like I said, between probably about lap 32, 38 if these guys want to stretch it. So we'll have to see. You just see everybody right now, though, riding in line like you talked about. And Jeremy, that's probably what they're just trying to all do, is just really get all lined up, make sure they are ready to go and get to pit road when they are ready. I mean, for all we know, we can see everybody come down at pit road at once. Wouldn't be the first time I've ever seen it, though, in sim racing. That's for dang sure. So we'll just have to see. The thing that I'm really concerned about is those top trucks. What are they going to try to do to get in line? Will they stay up top and let everybody else behind them come in and pit? Well, you know, what are they going to do? They have nowhere to go unless they see one opening, and they're just going to, you know, fly off, you know, try to get down. There's one truck going down to the bottom. That was behind that number 12 machine. That was a 77 of Shane Wilden Sr. He got down to the bottom. Now that makes it 3 trucks up at the top of the racetrack right now. You see, obviously, Slade. You see the 57 of Harrington. Then there's the 31 machine of Zach Holger. They're all just lined up. There goes another one, the 12 machine. Everybody trying to get to that bottom right now. Really concerned for Harrington and obviously Holder to see if they'll be able to get to the bottom as well.
Yeah, they need to right now. There is no help there on the top, and those guys will continue to slowly drift back further and further until they find that hole, which I don't think there's going to be one unless somehow they can create one, or if there was a really nice person that says, hey, you know what, you can come down in front of me, I'll let you in. But they're actually kind of holding on to their own right now. Kind of surprised. He's holding tight with the 64 there of Danny White for 4th and 5th place, coming off the turn 4 this time. He gets the advantage, the 31 really, of Zach Hollinger, just giving the 57's bumper the business. He is all over it. Got to watch those the water temps and oil temps. But look at this, 2 trucks, and here we go. The 57 could not push, but when he gets clean air on that nose, all of a sudden Harrington's truck comes on fire, and here we are battling for the race lead. 2 trucks by themselves, Jason.
And they're going to go to the lead, I think, right here. They're lined up more than that bottom side. I think this 57 and 31 could get to the race lead here if presented a good opportunity. But look at the push from the 89 of Mantle to the 22 of McCoy, followed by their teammate Steve Knight there with those Grim Reaper Motorsports guys. They are really good. And no surprise that this top lane is able to still hang on with that bottom side and not drop to the back, because over time, we have seen now the last few years, these trucks are able to keep up. Even the new next-gen cars, well, they're not really so new anymore, but the next-gen cars, they could do the same thing. It's really the Xfinity Series cars that can kind of have a problem with doing that, but somehow, some way, they're making it work up at the top of the racetrack, doing a great job. If they really have a good enough run, they very well could go to the lead like they are right now.
I'm almost afraid that, oh, there we go. So I was going to say the 57 is going to take the clear spot there for the race lead if he can get it, and he did. And that's kind of a shame because Hollinger helped him 100% get to that point. And now by himself, here he goes. Here comes the train on the bottom, and back to the back is the 31 there as we're coming up to lap number 31. Oh, almost made a little contact with the 64 there coming into the tri-oval this time, completing lap 30.
Yeah, he was trying to get down in front of Wilden coming off turn number 4, but he just wasn't able to do it. Those two got really squirrely, you saw, because they thought they were going to make contact. Wasn't enough. Now the goal of Zach Holger is to find a place and just get in line, because you don't want to be that driver that goes from the front to the back because you're the one lonesome driver up top. Maybe somebody will be kind enough to let him in. I'm looking at the spoilers right now, just like you said, Jeremy. I'm not seeing a lot of his teammates right now in this pack. You look back there, and I only see 2 of his teammates there, obviously, for the At the Top Motorsport guys, so he has to really be easy, and I believe that would be Michael Dow and Kenny Heath in the number 5 and 60, so he's got a long ways to go before he probably has anybody who would be willing to let him back in line.
Yeah, he's kind of maintaining it back here around 10th place, but I think over time he's going to slip as long as no one moves to the top with him. So we're just going to see this continuous bottom feeding lane just keep logging laps. Just keep, taking them off until pit roads happen. We're getting pretty close to that end of the window that you had mentioned earlier on in this event, around lap 38 being the maximum, which we are probably going to see that start. If these teams don't like to pit all in the main pack, you want to have people, but you don't want to be with everybody because you might wreck, right? So you might see some people log in early, like, here we go. Grim Reaper Motorsport's going to lead the way, the 12 as well there of Joshua Slade, and quite a few others, and it looks like everyone gets it down to speed, Jason.
Yeah, really concerned, though, for that number 79 machine. I believe that is right there. I believe that's that green and black truck right there. And, you got to make sure that you obviously get down to pit road speed, and you don't want to be the guy who runs into the back of somebody, because it's very easy to do that here. Like we mentioned, getting on the pit road, slowing down from 185 to 195 miles an hour down to pit road speed. Very hard to do here at a place like Daytona. Don't want to cause any controversy, any wrecks coming off pit road. And obviously, really, the big thing is, besides executing getting on a pit road, Jeremy, is getting formed up coming off pit road. That's where you start to see a lot of guys lose times. We're having our second round of pit stops. Here we go. 57 of Ron Harrington. He'll lead him down this time. Oh, almost shoots. Oh, and he does, basically. I believe that's going to be a speed-in penalty for sure for Ron Harrington, no doubt.
71 miles an hour on my telemetry at the line here, trying to pit with another teammate, both Lazy Lizard machines, 57, 77. They get to their pit stall. 60 comes in a little conservative, and so does the number 5. So 4 or 5 trucks on pit road this time. So here's your main pack now for the race lead. We should see them come down real shortly. This is led by the 64 of Danny White, the 13 Stephen Hayes, and the 71 there of Adam Thompson, as they got, about 7, 8 trucks, maybe 9 in this pack here. And this lap, here they come. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to split this little pack in half. And the 64 gets down to speed barely as his tail end slides out.
Yeah, great execution right there by Danny White. And it's funny because I'm going to sit here and think that's my grandfather probably this entire season, because he's got the same name as my grandfather. Pop, is that you? You driving the 64 machine? But, besides that, great execution, but actually not so great execution getting into his box. Slid the tires, slid right past the line right there, had to back it up for a second. That could be some very valuable time lost on pit road, but so far, no real incidents that I've noticed besides a couple guys probably speeding down pit road. Everybody's been able to get down clean, and then they'll probably be pitting sometime around lap 65, lap 70 if this race were to go green all the way to then.
And 57, Ron Harrington back down pit road. He was snagged for speeding. I thought there would have been a hold, but it looks like he's going to be coming through for a pass-through or a stop and go. However, iRacing dictates that. Did not make it down pit, and looks like he's going to do the stop and go here. You see 5, 6 trucks hitting their marks, 3, 2, 1 at the box. And then this should complete, for the most part, the pit cycle there, Jason.
Yeah, it looks like right now here as they come around turns 3 and 4, I believe this is right here. Yes, it is. That's the 22 machine, JJ McCoy. He's going to be the race leader. So Grim Reaper Motorsports able to maintain their spots. The only one they got right back behind them, Steve Knight in that 79 machine. Talked about him a little bit, you know, kind of sliding through coming into pit road. He only lost 1 spot there to the 26 of John DiMatteo. So great job by those Grim Reaper guys to be able to all get back out together. They are probably the team so far, Jeremy. I would imagine these first 35 laps completed, they're probably the team to beat here tonight from what I've seen.
Yeah, that's what I kind of picked up last week there from the duels. And you see them right now, 1, 2, 3, and 5 on the board this time. They're going through 3 and 4, passing Alexander there, who goes a lap down for the second time this evening. He holds the bottom, everybody shifts to the top, trying to do some last-second moves, passing the 94, and then nothing's going to happen there. The line, the 22 will lead the way. That's JJ McCoy's. We're going to bring it to our first commercial break. We'll be right back after a few messages. And welcome back here, resuming on lap 42, getting close to the halfway point. And we're seeing about 10 trucks here in this main pack, all running single file, very reminiscent of last week's duel number 1, where things were not too active there on the track. So while these guys are all running single file, we're going to go over the Nerd TV Top 10 recap here. And we're going to lead off with J.J. McCoy, who just naturally gives up the lead to one of his teammates, Bobby Mansell. So J.J. McCoy been running up in the front all race long, minus the first couple laps. He's going to drop in 3rd place in front of that 26 truck, going off to number 1. That was P2, the 89 Bobby Mantle, Grim Reaper Motorsports truck as well. Just the whole team really, once they got to the front, they have not left. So there's not too much to report other than great teamwork overall. Same goes for the 65 there of Chad McGinley. He's been riding in this top 5, started 5th rather, going to be in 2nd place at the line last time. And then that first truck, that's an oddball there, the 26, John Mateo. John De Mateo has been doing really well. Just can kind of find the lines. Started 18th, and he's picked and chosen which line that he wanted to be in, which was the fastest, obviously, because he's moved from 18th to 4th. So that's up 12 positions, or 14 positions rather, and now he's being under threat here by this next truck, the number 31. Here is this actually going to be a lap truck. Sorry, ignore that. Going to the 79 SC Knight, started P1, now in 5th place. Just been kind of hanging in there as well, helping out teammates where he can, so not too much to report on him. The number 12 there, Joshua Slade. This is going to be interesting, this run, I think. This 12 had not too great a help on the top. But now he's got a different set of trucks behind him, and if he can get that high side rolling, maybe he can advance himself into the top 3 and contend for the race lead. And then right behind him, it's going to be Bradley Miner there in the number 46. It's hard to read that number on the door. It just looks like camouflage and black. But that black rifle, Chevrolet Silverado, doing pretty good for himself. 23rd to 7th. So just like John De Mateo, been kind of picking and choosing his lanes and doing it the right way, getting himself inside this top 10. And a few more trucks to report on. The 78, John Howard, 19th to 8th. Been very consistent. Once he's been to 8th place, he's kind of plateaued there. He needs some help to get himself into the top 5 rather. DJ Honeycutt, 13th to 9th. And then Adam Thompson running out your top 10 there. Been hanging tight in that same spot all race long.
Yeah, these are probably the group of guys that you're going to be able to see probably towards the end of this race. You see everybody really grouped up, obviously single file. But if this race were to go green to the next set of green flag pit stops, like I had mentioned, you're going to see guys pit about around the lap 65 to lap 70 mark. That would be the final time that these guys would need to pit, obviously. They can make it all the way to the end on fuel and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see. These guys obviously are not going to ride around in line this entire time. They want to be able to get up to the front. They want to position themselves up there if a caution were to come out, because we've seen it time and time again. The wrecks, they don't happen in the middle of these packs anymore, Jeremy. They happen anywhere on this racetrack. The front, the back, the very back of the pack, the middle. There's so many different possibilities when it comes to wrecking here at these super speedways. So you want to be able to put yourself in a position. Do you want to be like maybe this 85 of Justin LeBlanc? Do you want to be sitting there right now in a 13th position? Or do you want to try to go up and contend for that lead with those 5 trucks you got behind you? You know, you don't want to be sitting in a place where you are right now if you're not comfortable. So you want to make sure you are come time in the end of this race.
You know, if it was the first stint there where everyone was side by side, I would say you have options, right? So you could kind of hang back for a little bit, then move forward like some of these guys did. Hence the 48 or 46 of Bradley Miner up a lot of spots. John Howard, he's up 11. You know, those guys did great for themselves when it was 2x2. But now you're all single file. You cannot move. You're stuck to where you are unless you can find at least 2 or 3 people behind you to help you propel yourself to where you want to go. But being single file, you almost want to be up the front now because you don't have many options. It looks like everyone is very content just kind of riding single file. So you're going to have to do very, very well with your team this coming round of pit stops to even have a chance to get yourself up there. And then at the end of the race, you just kind of want to be in front of the wreck. You can kind of feel out where that might happen. And I think that's what you're going to need to do is just wait for one more pit stop and then kind of set yourself up.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that, to say the least. I mean, that's the thing, though. You know, you want to make sure that you're obviously grouped up with the guys you want to be. We've already talked about it. You know, these guys from, Grim Reaper Motorsports, they're sitting 1, 2, 3, Mantle, McKinley, and McCoy. And they have pretty much dominated this race. So they're really content not only being up at the front, but sticking together. Even if they were in the middle of this pack, I'm sure they would feel comfortable being back there because they know they have the teammates. There's probably guys out here who are in this pack that aren't lined up with anybody they want to be. They want to be around their teammates. So when it comes time for this next round of green flag pit stops, if we even do get to it under green flag conditions, you want to make sure, obviously, that you're paired up with somebody that you want to be with, somebody that's a good pusher, somebody that isn't going to make many mistakes, whether it be on the racetrack or coming to and getting off pit road for sure.
Yeah, pit window was 34 to lap 37, so we're probably going to see that same amount of laps. So around 68, you might start to see these guys peel down pit road, which is about 18, 19 laps from this point forward. Next time at the line, we'll signal halfway through this 100-lap race to move up the Global Racing League Truck Series here at the virtual Daytona National Speedway on the iRacing platform. And I'm going to shout out one of our partners once more, this time Dusty Pete's Gifts and Collectibles. Search them up on social media. They have a plethora of different things to offer, anything for your nerddom. So it'll be, you got a bunch of cards, they got action figures, they have die cast, a lot of different things nerdy, kind of a huge collection that no one else really has in stock and readily available. So if you're looking to up your nerddom and add something to your collection, head over to their Instagram, their Facebook page, anywhere you can find them on social media. That's Dusty Pete's Gifts and Collectibles.
Great place to say things, for sure, no doubt about that. And something here, Jeremy, that's interesting too, that we didn't really talk about. Obviously, now that these guys are all settled in and riding single file, look who is leading this charge right now. That 31 machine of Zach Holger. We saw him up at the lead earlier on. Remember, he got hung out to dry by, I believe it was the number 57 machine, obviously. And now he is leading this pack, but he's one lap down. So he's trying to obviously get a lap back, doesn't want to go 2 laps down. Doing a great job just leading this pack. Nobody's really in a rush to obviously pass him, so they all feel content with just pushing him. And, doing a good job, obviously, but he definitely needs a caution here at some point if he wants to get back in this thing for sure.
It's a clean race when there's only one guy out, and then the last person on the grid that's running is the 31, and he's also, quote-unquote, leading this race here on the inside lane. And to see the 89 dip out for just a moment, maybe trying to get his teammates to move and pass this 31, but he's going to come back down to the inside lane. And the Zach Hollinger machine 31 is going to continue to lead this thing. Anyhow, that was the 57, left him out to dry moments before pit stops happened. So he lost his draft partner, and he lost everything going one lap down on that cycle of pit stops. So if he can just hang tight here, he's going to need something to go for him, right? He's not in contention for the lucky dog, you might think, but since he's in front of the leader, he is the last person one lap down. He's got 4 trucks ahead of him that are also one lap down. So he's going to need things to go his way in this race. It's been very clean to this point. He just needs a few cautions to get back up there.
Yeah, for sure. Or he just obviously needs to pass those 4 other guys in front of him with this pack, which could happen here. It just has to play into his favor, obviously. I mean, you look at, obviously, the last time around, he's faster than most of these guys running around. I mean, they're all in packs for sure, no doubt about that, so it's all really helping them, the fact that they're in packs. But those guys are in a much bigger pack, so it definitely helps them. This 31 machine, though, definitely needs a caution probably. He would probably be taking the wave around, I would say, if that were to happen. But obviously, he's going to, the cost of that is he's not going to be able to pit. It's kind of a win-win or a loss-loss scenario for Zach Hollinger right now. Definitely, if I were him, I'd probably want to be able to catch that little pack and try to pass them. But I just don't know if it's going to happen. As you see guys starting to get a little bit antsy back here, maybe seeing some guys. There we go. That back of the pack right there, led by that 13 machine of Stephen Hayes. He's going to be the guy to lead that charge up on the top side. More drivers starting to come up. That's the 44 machine right there. Don't run into the back of him. That's Mark Sherwood. I believe that's another one of those guys that is one lap down, trying to get his lap back. So starting to see some, antsiness going on throughout this field.
Yeah, man, you hate to see that if you're the 13 and 85, to see the 44 move up. You know he's trying to help, but at the same token, that Whataburger truck was probably 5 to 10 mile an hour faster than the 44. Had to get on the binders. The 85, Justin LeBlanc, thankfully recognized that and did not run to the back of the 13 there of Stephen Hayes. But now they got 5 trucks on the top, and here they go. They're starting to pass trucks here. 2 or 3 passed on the backstretch alone, getting side by side with the 26. As they get off into turn number 3, they're going to clear the 26, come to the 22's door here. That's J.J. McCoy. And now they're going to be coming off turn number 4, passing him onto the 89. And all of a sudden, we got a 2-lane race. Can the 44 lead the lap all the way back, mid-pack almost, to your race lead? He got it.
A great job there by Stephen Hayes to be able to take those trucks, but look at what he does ultimately. He just benefited himself there to go all the way to the front. He ditches the 85, this 64, and that 24 Pepsi Silverado machine. Just ditched them completely. Now they have to do this without the 13 machine. And I think, Jeremy, probably the reason why that pack wasn't as fast as it was is because the 31 was leading. And then those Grim Reaper Motorsport guys, they're not in a rush, so they're not going to try to get around him or push him. There's no reason to. So that's why you saw the outside lane really get past him. As you see this 85, 64, 24, they've been able to get back out front there as all these teammates are lined up as well here back down the front stretch.
Well, it's really impressive about that 44. That's Mark Sherwood. He is actually 1 lap down, right? And he, with the group of 4 trucks behind him, put him in front, and for 1 lap was back on the lead lap. And now he finds himself 1 lap down again, 4th truck in line. Now behind the 85, they're Justin LeBlanc leading this event here on lap 56. That was a great move to get himself into position to not have to worry about the lucky dog spot. But now he's got to maintain this position on track, being, the first one in 1 lap down, and then the second one's this 94, which he has launched himself through turns 3 and 4 in Encarnacion. He's got 1 truck help there, the 31 kind of pull him along, and then the 24 moves up as well. So now here we go. We have 2 races, the 44 and the 94. The 94 just hit the nitrous button. He's going to go 3 wide here on the outside of the 31, also 1 lap down. So we have trucks with different strategies, all fighting for the same thing.
Yeah, it's getting really antsy up here, Jeremy. I don't know if I'd be racing like this if I were these guys. This is getting really tight, and if I were these race leaders, make sure to get ready to be on the binders in case these guys wreck trying to fight for that lucky dog. And the thing is, too, you look at the drivers who all got up towards the front a couple laps ago. Those top 5, all those orange spoiler guys, all Lone Star Racing drivers, from Hayes to LeBlanc, Luna, Sherwood, Danny White. All those guys were up there, and they're still up there now. As you see the Grim Reaper Motorsport guys there, they're back there right behind the 13 machine. That's Chad McGinley, Bobby Mantle, J.J. McCoy. Man, some great racing up here towards the front. Not only fighting for the lead, like you mentioned, Jeremy, but also this lucky dog.
Yeah, the 31 was 2 laps down. He is 2 laps down, rather. So the 85 LeBlanc last lap, so I like, Spotter, do I have a person that's 1 lap down and 2 laps down to my outside? And he said, yes. And so you don't want to see that or hear that. But they're fighting for everything. The 31 gets back to the lead, barely cuts off the nose of EJ Luna there in the 24. And now the 94 of Encarnacion has to get back in line as he's fighting for position, like I said, with the 44. So 94 and 44, this is your lucky dog contention. So the 94 is doing a hell of a job so far, keeping it in front of the 44 there on Mark Sherwood.
Yeah, and now obviously with the shuffle going on, look who's back up at the front, like we just mentioned, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all Lone Star Motorsport guys, or Lone Star Racing guys, rather. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you go back to 5th, 6th, and 7th. You have Chad McGinley, Bobby Mantle, J.J. McCoy, John DiMatteo obviously hanging on there as well behind those Grim Reaper guys. Lonesome Driver, obviously. Some great stuff. And then you go back to Steve Knight, another one of those Grim Reaper guys. So really, it looks like so far we thought that it was going to be Grim Reaper controlling this field, but all of a sudden Lone Star Racing just came out of nowhere, and now they're leading here at Daytona, coming to 40 laps to go this time by.
Just look at this 94 of Alexander just for a moment.
Oh,
he
contact.
has contact with the 31, which the 31 is floating between 1 and 2 laps down. He has no need to make contact with Alexander as he clears him. Look at this, by himself on the top, literally nobody behind him, right? And clears the entire line of inside trucks and draft. And so that shows how strong this 94 can be in a race setup. He just needs a caution real quick here to get him back on the lead lap completely to be able to contend for this race win. But the 31 is going to push him further forward past EJ Luna here. This is a pretty interesting mix of racing. Of course, you got your lead pack, but then it's just 1 and 2 lap down trucks also duking out in the front. It's really spicing things up here just a little bit halfway through this event.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen quite the team strategy and the teammate work like I've seen here in this Global Racing League Truck Series like I have here tonight. Like you just mentioned, Jeremy, you have two guys who are laps down up at the front of this field, battling like it's the last lap almost, nearly wrecking 2 or 3 times. Then you have Lone Star Racing, you have Grim Reaper Motorsports, and you're seeing everybody start to get a little bit spread out because remember, we have another round of green flag pit stops coming. It's going to come around probably lap 65 to lap 70. So I'm expecting guys to try to pit here within the next few, laps. So this is going to be interesting to see. Will we see Lone Star Racing up at the front? Will we see Grim Reaper Motorsports up at the front? Or will we see a completely different team? Maybe a guy who's by himself. We don't know. It's going to be interesting to see here as the laps wind down and we're under 40 to go.
Yeah, I wonder if Grim Reaper kind of recognized that there's a lot of weirdness going on up in this front pack. So they have really backed up. We know they have Speedway, but they have just kind of really spaced themselves out amongst all these guys in front of them. And just the mix-up of teams, right? You got Lazy Lizard, 94 leading the pack, not the race. The 31 as well from At the Top Motorsports. He's by himself, trying to get anything to do to get back to 1 lap down, which he currently sits right now in front of your race leader, the 24 EJ Luna. Then you got Lone Star Racing, who hasn't really truly been up at the front. They're just kind of hanging tight at the moment. They have 1 or 2 laps left in this whole entire race. And they're just trying to make things happen until we get to pit stops here coming up, like you said, in the next 3 to 4 laps. And so I expect Grim Reaper to be back up to the front after cycling through. But at the moment, for us, it's making it kind of fun to see what exactly is going on here, trying to get back to your the lead lap.
Well, I mean, if you were Grim Reaper Motorsports, wouldn't you think it's been a little bit weird up towards the front? Because
Absolutely.
I know I sure as hell would if I were one of those guys for sure. And you know something too, Jeremy, they all want to stick together. They don't want to really try to block these runs. They want to all stick together because you remember something too. This is not a fixed series. This is an open setup league. So most of these guys on these teams are all running the same setups out of their setup shops or teams. So they really all have the same stuff. They want to make sure they stick together because they know what they're capable of, besides a little bit of, a few tweaks here and there for driver preferences, whether it be maybe an extra tape or 2 on the grill, maybe you make the right rear a little bit lower, maybe your steering ratio, whatever it may be. There's so many things that you could change with these trucks, or really any stock car here in the iRacing world when it comes to the open setup. So you want to make sure you stay around the same guys that you know are capable of doing the same things that you are, alongside driver talent. So I think that's really why you're seeing these guys really not be so eager, like the Grim Reaper guys, to not block those runs and obviously kind of just maintain right there, because they know it's not about the fastest guys up at the front. It's all about surviving too, but being there when it counts the most at the end.
And I don't know if you have mentioned it as well, but this is the final pit stop. As long as they stay green until the very end, which would be amazing to see 100 laps and not have a single yellow flag come out. But if they stay that way, this is the final pit stop, right? You're going to be inside the window, 36 laps to go this time by. We've seen guys go 37, 38. So we know this will be the final one, which is opened up now. So at any point in time, these guys can come down pit road and that's it. So, and also see Brian Fine up in the chats. He's getting ready for the Tuesday series from RSR, getting ready to gum. live on Nerd TV this coming Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what's up, man? And then see Jason commenting back. So if you guys are watching right now, please follow us. It's the first time we hit 20 live streamers on YouTube. So feel free to chime in at any point in time along in this broadcast, as we have now 35 to go at the line. And here we go. Grim Reaper headed down pit road with a couple other teams. Looks like 7 trucks in total, and they're all to speed.
Oh, man, it looked like that 79 machine, I think, right there, coming into the pit. Steve Knight again, nearly getting down and possibly, maybe, just maybe, getting a speeding penalty. It looked like he almost slid coming to the pit road commitment line. But you see all the Grim Reaper guys, they're in their box right now. There's a 65, Chad McGinley. He's getting 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles and some Sunoco racing fuel. And I expect, obviously, now that the Grim Reaper guys have pitted, these Lone Star guys, they know that that those guys are their biggest competition. I expect these Lone Star guys to probably pit right here. Kind of interesting, though, that they're going so wide. I don't know if they want to try to leave these guys out right now, and they're going to. So actually, those guys up at the front, the 2 lap trucks, they're going to pit. I do expect for sure the Lone Star guys to pit next time around, because right now they're probably just trying to get the most speed that they can because they're all grouped up together in that 4-truck pack. So I expect them to probably pit this time by with the rest of the field as well.
Yeah, actually 5 in this one, and then right behind them there's 5 in the next pack behind them, and they're all in black and white. So very distinguishable between all the colors in front of them. And yeah, there we go. AJ Luna in the 24 is calling pit road this time. Is buddy right now, the 64, Danny White's also calling pit road. 44 is calling it. So here we go. We're definitely seeing pit stops this go around. Now, will the guys right behind them follow suit, or are they going to? Nope, they're going to go to the top. So that means they're going to stay out this lap here and lead the way, at least for one green flag lap. And so there's that group, and looks like they are down to speed just fine. And Jason, you also questioned the 79, the prior lap. He was to speed, no penalty posted.
That's also good news for him, for Steve Knight, and the rest of those Grim Reaper guys. And that's the thing, Jeremy, too, that we really should have touched on, I think, probably, was if one of your teammates gets nabbed for speeding on pit road, or that they slack off during pit stops and don't execute entry, pit stop, and exit as well, you lose one of those guys, man. That is a big loss for you. You don't want to try to lose any of your teammates at all in this pack. The more trucks you have, with all your buddies, your teammates, friends, whoever they may be, the stronger, the better you're going to be, the better you're going to come off pit road. So losing one of those guys would be a huge deficit and a huge loss for them. So good job by Steve Knight to not speed coming out on pit road, get on the binders quick enough to be able to make pit road speed for sure.
And Ghost Motorsports here continuing to lead the way as they stay out another lap, led by the 15 at DJ Honeycutt. And then you got the 71 Adam Thompson right behind him. They're all teammates here. So all running single file, 5 trucks, and they got to be pitting here in the next couple for sure. Got to strengthen numbers. Hopefully they all 5 hit the marks just fine, because they're going to need it for some of these other teams like Lone Star and Grim Reaper, who have just been up front for all of this race so far through 70 laps at the line this time. So 30 laps to go, and they are pitting. Here we go, the final grouping of lead trucks. Down below the yellow line, where the 15 is going to stay up a little wide, but I think he's going to be down to speed just fine. They do indeed excellent pit entrance from this team.
Yeah, good job by those guys to spread out a little bit, not run up each other's butts, because like we've seen in the past, you run into somebody, you can create a massive wreck, and you don't want to cause that, especially a teammate, because that creates some hot water through the team discussions after the race, and you don't want to be the guy to do that, obviously. But this is the group we're watching right now. Grim Reaper, they've been able to get back out front here, so they are in front, obviously, of, I believe, those Lone Star Racing guys. Now the question is going to be, how will these guys come out of the pits, being DJ Honeycutt, Mike Hayes, all of them? I expect them to probably fall right in tow behind Lone Star Racing. We're about to see, because look at the Lone Star guys. They're all separated now. They are nowhere to really be found. They are scattered throughout this racetrack, and in fact, they will go to the front of this field, that obviously being the Grim Reaper Motorsport guys, while DJ Honeycutt, Mike Hayes, and the rest of those buddies, they're going to drop back behind some of the Lone Star guys as everybody tries to get back up to speed. Jeremy, only 30 laps to go, time's ticking, and it's go time now. The gloves are off. You have to get to the front. We haven't seen one dang caution this whole race. I've been shocked. Great racing, great driver etiquette by everybody, but now it's time to take the gloves off and go try to win at Daytona.
We've almost been green flagged for 1 hour, and we've had 71 laps logged so far. So 38 to go this time around. And yeah, Grim Reaper definitely excelled there. They had the strength in numbers, right? They pitted with 7 or 8 trucks versus Ghost Motorsports 5, and then they picked up a couple other trucks when they merged up. So that allowed them to just clear as day be the front runners here. So now they lead at 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. And then the 46 Bradley Minor, the first non-Grim Reaper truck to be in 4th place. And everybody else behind them, they know if they go to the top, Jason, they can make a strong move. But who do you have as the lead truck? That's the question.
Yeah, and this is the thing too, Jeremy. If this race does go green all the way to the end, which we have seen in the past with our broadcasting experience, we have seen these races sometimes go to the finish from green to checkered, no cautions. It's very rare that it happens, but it does happen on occasion once in a blue moon. The one thing that obviously I'm wondering about is obviously the teammate aspect. You have the Grim Reaper Motorsport guys up here at the front, Chad McGinley, McCoy, Mansell, Steve Knight. The thing is, when it comes down to 2, 3, 4 laps to go, maybe even just the last lap, half a lap, even quarter of a lap, it doesn't matter. When does that teammate aspect go out the window, and when do you try to fend for yourself? Because obviously you want to kickstart the year off with a win here at Daytona. You don't want to see your teammate drive to victory lane. You want to help them as much as possible, get everybody good finishes, but you got to remember, you got to fight for yourself, as Dean Thompson said there at the end of the ARCA race on Friday night, or early Saturday morning rather, because that race didn't end until near 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
And shout out to probably the 100 fans in total in the grandstands for watching ARCA race past 12:30 into 1 a.m. They're on the East Coast at Daytona. And look at this. The 94 and the 31 are going to the top by themselves. They passed Grim Reaper Motorsports like they're sitting still. So obviously these trucks are so fast. They just need to get in the correct running order here with a caution to be able to have a chance at this thing, right? But now they go to the top because they caught the slower set of trucks here just because of lack of numbers. That's Lazy Lizard Machine. 77 in there. You also got the 81, Carlos Enriquez, 57 of Ron Harrington. Now, we're all scattered here. All these trucks up front are not the leaders at this time. The outside seems to be where the leads at the 65, but these guys are on the bottom are just so much faster. It's kind of impressing me there, Jason.
Yeah, and you know what I'm wondering is the Green Reaper guys, they left out, I believe, 1 or 2 guys out of their group pack, so it's interesting to see them. Oh, one truck! Whoa, sideways back straight away. Believe he's able to save it. He will, comes back up into the field, but no harm, no foul. Great driving by the rest of that field towards the back end of that line to be able to avoid that number 33 machine. That's Ron Holmes in that Toyota Tundra there. Great save by him. Great save by everybody else around him, because we've seen time and time again, Jeremy, when you get shoved out of line on the back straightaway at Daytona, you try to come up, something usually happens, but thankfully nothing did right there in the 3.
Yeah, it was kind of weird as this was a little bit prior, but he came back up the track and then he found the left rear of the Bucky's truck and it shot him straight back down, and thankfully he was able to save it, had some side force help with all that speed he was carrying, and but it put him out of the draft though. So that's the downfall of that, as he's the first truck 1 lap down now, all by his lonesome. So the next person back is number 5 of Kenny Heath, and then might go down to 60, who's finally got some help. So I don't know. It's that was the first time of maybe we see a caution, but we have 24 laps to go at this time by. I think we're going to take our last commercial break. We'll be back here for the final 20. And we're back live here, 19 laps left, as we have just been watching the most interesting race that we have seen in quite some time. Jason, you said that exactly when we went to a commercial break. This lead lap, right? A lot of trucks on the bottom are one lap down. And then you have the guys up there at the top, led by the 15 at DJ Honeycutt by Ghost Motorsports. They're leading this thing on the top. But there's everybody else a lap down on the bottom as they squeeze 3 wide right now through 3 and 4. This is leaving some weird situations. We have to have 3 wide to pass because the lap trucks are blocking the lead. So does Grim Reaper or Lone Star, do they push the Starker home, go 3 wide here real shortly, or what do you do?
Jeremy, your guess is as good as mine, and we were just talking about that too under commercial break, and it's going to be really interesting to see because, I mean, if you're the Grim Reaper guys, you've dominated this race with Lone Star, and now you're being beat out by the Ghost Motorsport guys, you know, of DJ Honeycutt and the rest of his boys. You have to make something happen. Look at this right now. They're going 3 wide again on another lap truck. This is not going to end very well if this keeps happening. The amount of lap trucks. Oh, and they are making a little bit of contact, near contact, between the 15 of Honeycutt and the number 94 of Alexander and Carnacio there on the bottom side. This has been such an interesting race, Jeremy. It's almost as if you have to push the binders here. You have to go through the middle if you get that opportunity. If you're a Lone Star or a Grim Reaper driver, you just have to, no doubt.
We almost had a first caution there. The number 5, Kenny Heath, there, who's 2 laps down now, made significant contact to the outside of Justin LeBlanc in the 85 as they are making him 3 wide in turn 3. I think the 85 is going to be fine, but it put the 5 into the wall for sure. He's extra slow now, but we're turning back to this lead here. The 15, you see him. He's got a 1 truck advantage over this 31, who has just been pestering the lead trucks. He right now is still scored 1 lap down. So is the 94 of Encarnacion. It's just amazing of what's going on right now. You gotta be frustrated if you're on the inside, like Grim Reaper, like Lazy Lizard, who's just like, I see the lane, but I have trucks that are not for position in front of me. It's just so, I would be infuriated right now if I were these guys trying to make moves on the bottom.
And you know what really sucks, and you probably feel bad for, is that 31 machine, obviously, of Zach Hollinger. You think about back to the first quarter of this race, Jeremy, that guy was up at the front of this field. He was leading at one point, I believe, and if not second at most. And now he's been up at the front the whole time since he's been a lap down, and it just sucks for him because look at the truck he has. Look at the truck the 94 has, who's now back on the lead lap at the moment. So if the caution were to come out, he's still on the lead lap. He does not want to be trapped a lap down because he would be battling this 31 machine, obviously, who's about to go 2 laps down, possibly. This is just really, really interesting up here towards the front of this field, and the Ghost guys are really controlling this race, using those lappers as a pick there on the bottom.
You mentioned it, too, during the commercial break, that what if DJ Honeycutt and the guys up in Ghost Motorsports are kind of throttling it? What if they're trying to keep on par with the 31 and 94 to guarantee there's no passing done between these 2 set of trucks, right? That could be a game plan, a good strategy to keep this team in P1. And also, I hope they give the 31 there of Hollinger a nice little bonus check for doing such a great job keeping this group of trucks in the front as we're starting to see 3 wide for the first time this evening through the tri-oval here for position. So here we go. We got 14 to go, and we're starting to see some moves had.
Yeah, the 89 of Bobby Mantle just decided to put it 3 wide right there, and he is making moves. He went from bottom to top in front of the 85, cut down in front of the 57, so he is making moves, trying to see what he can do, and he is actually going to take it 3 wide.
No way.
What a save by the number 99 machine there of Austin McGill. That truck should have went around, and look at the stack up it creates there on the bottom side. No yellow, obviously. Everybody able to save it, but it separates these 2 packs just a little bit. And Jeremy, I was just going to mention, you talk about that middle lane being an opportunity. Can he do it? You're seeing him do it right now. The perfect opportunity is Lone Star Racing. Look at them. They're lined up 1, 2, 3, 4 right behind the Ghost guys, and they're going to get one of the Grim Reaper guys. If they get the opportunity, if that lane opens up at the top of the racetrack, you can make it work. Go 3 wide, go to the top, put them in a scenario where they have to cover the middle. They have nowhere to go. Look at the racing. Now they're going to put the 31 of Hollinger in the middle. He's going to stack up the field right here, and everybody trying to go for the race lead. Near contact, almost crashing up at the front of this field. This is getting intense coming to 12 to go.
Mark my words here, the 99 of Austin McGill gets the best save of all of 2024, and here we go. The 31 is deleted by the 89 as they slide back up the track in front of the number 60 into Michael Dow. We stay green flag because of how late they slid back up onto the track. 3 or 4 trucks involved, but the 31 has been removed from the front. Now the number 94 of Encarnacion is leading the point, and Lone Star has the top here, first truck up top as we go to the Nerd TV replay, and we see the hook there. Just a little too aggressive with the 31, and he pushes him all the way through the first half of the tri-oval. And here comes just complete victim, the number 60. Boom, heavy contact.
Yeah, and now this obviously shook up the front of this field. I mean, look at JJ McCoy. He's back out front in that 22 machine, obviously. I mean, this is interesting because all that happened at the very front of this field now. As you look on board, this is the number 12 machine here of Joshua Slade, who was up at the front of the majority of the night, goes to the grass. Look at the near miss, man. He had his life flash before his eyes, just kisses the left rear tailgate of the number 31 right there, but they're able to save it here as we're approaching 10 laps to go here pretty soon. Things are getting interesting. Justin LeBlanc has been able to retake the race lead in that number 85 for Lone Star, and they have separated some of the Ghost guys. And there's one of the Grim Reaper Motorsport drivers, that 22 machine right there, JJ McCoy. He is battling for the race lead, and they got 3 lap trucks in front of him. This is getting interesting, Jeremy. I don't think we're done wrecking just yet.
Chad McGinley makes a 3-wide pass up the circle hole middle there, did an excellent job, but these 2 lanes both led by a lap down truck. 81, Carlos Enriquez, sitting at 18th on the pylon, the 94 of Encarnacion, also 17th on the board, not for position. The 77, who's second on that bottom, he's 19th. So this field is still led by lap down trucks. And now with the 85, the second truck on the top, first one up at the top of the pylon, P1, he is trying to just push this 81 of Carlos as much as he can to keep that gap behind him, with Ghost Motorsports all lined up there on the top. As the 99 actually of Austin McGill, he's the first Ghost truck to go to the bottom. He's going to try to make some moves happen.
I tell you what, if I were that 22 machine right here of JJ McCoy, now that he's side by side with Justin LeBlanc, if he could push those 2 trucks, the 94 and the 77, right up here towards the front. But the only thing that worries me is look who's in front of him, the 77 machine of Shane Wilden Sr. Remember, he was all over the place earlier in this race before the start of the first round of green flag pit stops. Now he finds himself a lap down in front of that 22 machine. So you could almost bet that 22 wants to get those guys out of the way, or he wants to jump up top right in front of that 81 machine to make sure that he has some leeway between him and the 85. The only thing that would worry me is if that 99 gets clear of that top lane too, because then you really got a problem on your hands.
You really do. And continuing just to hold a much more steady pace than we saw the past 5 laps, as they're still just 2 by 2 by 2. You see a single truck here and there try to go 3 wide, but for the most part they have calmed it down with 8 laps to go. Still no yellow flags up to this point. And so knowing that fact, if you're the guy in 10th place or so, you need to make the move now. You can't just rely on this caution at this point. That just cannot be found up to this point with 8 laps to go, 7.5 at the back straightaway. And yeah, it's just such an awkward race, Jason, to be calling right now.
It is, and honestly, it might be the most awkward race I've ever called in my iRacing broadcasting career. And there we go. There's the 22. We talked about if he was going to be clear. He was. He jumps right up in front of the 81, and the 99 machine of Austin McGill has nowhere to go. JJ McCoy being held right there at bay with those guys behind him that are a lap down or more, with 3 trucks of leeway between him, the 99, the 85, the rest of Ghost, the rest of Grim Reaper, whatever it may be. Oh, don't get a little too wide off the corner. The 81 nearly slid off the back straightaway and created some controversy, but nothing yet but the outside lane is now hauling the mail back down the back straightaway. If that 85 gets clear, he might jump to the bottom. He won't. The 22 and 81, they'll jump now down to the bottom as they're coming to 6 to go this time.
I was just thinking to myself, this is going to be huge because Carlos has had fresh air on that grill the whole time. His water and oil temps are probably 40 degrees cooler than the guys like the 77 who's been second truck in line for a while. So that really just helped the 22 McCoy get to the front when Carlos had all that much lower temperatures to propel McCoy to the front. They both get down to the bottom. And now Justin LeBlanc has the best chance he's had in half a race to get anything done for his team of Lone Star Racing here. Fourth lane or fourth row at the top, making some moves. Carnacial going to go 3 wide here. He's going to cut in front, and the 85 is thinking this 94 is a thorn in my side. I cannot escape from being behind him.
Yeah, or you could say what most people would say, probably a pain in his ass, I would probably say, because that's basically what it's been for most of these lap trucks up at the front. They have been a pain, but yeah, it's working, as Dustin says behind the scenes. The 85 is able to push this 94 almost all the way up to the front. They're side by side once again, and look who he's brought with him, the Ghost Motorsport drivers of DJ Honeycutt and his boys right there, Mike Hayes and everybody else. The 22, though, he's got a little bit of leeway back down this back straightaway, but look at the 85. He's going to push Encarnacion right back to the front of this field here with that lap truck. Man, this is getting interesting, coming to 4 laps to go. Pick one, Jeremy, because we still don't know who's going to win this one right now.
I have no idea. I just know that McCoy's in the best position here because even if he gets passed by the 81, that's not for position. So in the 94 being the top guy on, or 1 lap down rather, like the 22 I feel like is in the best spot. Unless he gets passed up right now, the 22 I think McCoy has this thing locked down where he's got lap trucks as a buffer essentially right behind him and on the outside. The outside needs to develop a 3rd lane or just get rid of the 94 for have any threat to take over that lead spot from the 22 as we have 3.5 laps to go on the backstretch.
Bottom lane stacked up just a little bit. The outside lane was formed up way better coming off turn number 2. This 85 machine, Jeremy, I can only imagine what is going through his mind right now. And here's the thing, if he gets clear of the 22, does he want to jump to the bottom and keep him trapped, or does he want to, and there goes the 81 machine, ducks out of line, heads up driving by him. He's going to let these guys race it out. What will the 94 do? Will he stay up there? He will. He'll go right back down to the bottom of the racetrack after a shove from the 85 of Justin LeBlanc, and now he's going to bring Ghost Motorsports with him to the front. Will he jump down? Will he stay in front of the 15? Yeah. For the time being, he stays right in front of him here, coming off turn number 2. Now the 94 pulls out. This is the battle for the race win now. All lap trucks up at the front of this field pretty much.
They finally gave way with a handful of laps to go. I was going to say the 85 needs to stay on the top with a huge block, and here we go. Domino effect's going to pile them up for the first caution here, coming to 2 laps to go. 6, 7 trucks involved in this one. LeBlanc has the lead when the caution comes out, and then Jason, this is very interesting. You have the lap down trucks get out of the way, and then let the lead lap trucks wreck themselves.
I'll say what I want to say right after we view the near TV replay right here, because I tell you what, right there, going into turns 3 and 4 here, it looked like that number 85 of Justin LeBlanc, when he started heading down to the bottom of the racetrack, and we'll take a look at him in here in just a second, he created a stack up between those Ghost Motorsport guys right here, and everybody stacked up behind him. This is after the fact. They're already wrecking behind them here. So the 85, 15, the 1, all these guys are able to get through unscathed, but meanwhile, the rest of the field behind them piling up. But it all started right here down the back straightaway. The 85 machine cut right down in front of that 15, stacked up him and his buddies right here. Kind of a very late block on the 85's move, pinches the 15 down right to the double yellow line, and honestly, just a bad block. The 15 has nowhere to go. He's laying off. He's already got those left sides on that double yellow line. And Jeremy, I know Dustin knows, you get your left sides down there here at Daytona or Talladega, especially on this track with how narrow, how fast and tight it is, man. It is really hard to save a truck and keep it straight when you get your left sides down there and you're lifting as well for somebody else.
And I'm really glad Dustin focused on the 71 there at Thompson. I don't know for wrecking if the 71 doesn't just follow suit down to the bottom. He clearly had JJ McCoy on his inside, and I didn't know if he was just 100% focused on the wreck in front. That could have happened, but he clear as day came down on JJ McCoy and shoved him to the flat. And this is where the wreck actually happened. So it's just an effect of a block and then people not looking where they need to, pinched off the 22, and that's what sent him around, makes slight contact with 99. You see the 20, the 65, and quite a few others get involved. But this is just that's plate racing, right? Something happens in front, and then 4 or 5 rows back is where the actual wreck happens.
Yeah, and it's really just a chain of events here when you come to a super speedway like Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta. I mean, you get into those corners, and obviously one guy starts something, the rest of the field reacts, and it just creates just kind of that domino effect that we talk about. And obviously, you take a look at it again. There goes the 22 whipping around to the 57, the 24. Lots and lots of good trucks who were up there in this final fourth of the race who have just pretty much been taken out of contention with the damage that they have now, especially that 22 machine. But thing I just noticed here, Jeremy, looked like while we were taking a look at the replay, the 15, the 1, and the 71 all stayed out. So they must be confident that they can make it all the way to the end. I can only imagine, you know, yeah, they were the last team to pit, so they have that little bit of extra fuel in the tank. But the thing is if they go to a green, white, checkered finish, and remember, we have 3 attempts at those folks. So with that being said, if a green, white, checkered attempt were to probably happen, I can only imagine that those guys would have to pit. Definitely, they might have enough for 1, possibly 2, but 3 is a kind of a stretch.
Yeah, they actually pitted, I think, 4 laps later than the first grouping of lead trucks to make their way down pit road, which happened around lap 66, I do believe. So with that 4 extra laps of green flag saved in their tanks, you know, when you're running in the caution like this, that could, yeah, for sure give you the second. But that third one, like you mentioned, that's going to be the very hit or miss one as the pace lights are out on the truck. 1 lap to go. We'll resume this late race. 2 laps into OT on lap 102. And then this is 1 of 3 attempts, as you said. So it's such a clean race for the first 80 plus laps. But now we saw the hurry, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, look, the lap down trucks are gone. Now we got to get in position. We saw a lot of mixing up, and that's when the wreck happened there. So do you think we see that continued hurriness, or do you think they're going to settle in for 1 lap and then give it all in the final?
Man, I really couldn't tell you. This race has been so wonky and wacky today. It's really hard to pick a winner right now. I mean, I really like the Ghost guys being out front 1, 2, 3. They're obviously going to have 2 on the bottom, 1 up on the top. Will they do a teammate restart? Here's the thing. Will they let that number 1 machine down of Mike Hayes to come in front of them? But the only thing that risks is obviously the field behind him. If they get a good enough restart, they're going to be side by side with you by the time you get out of turn number 2. So it's really interesting. I'm going to call my shot right now, though. I think this 26 machine of John DiMatteo, he's up 13 spots from where he started in the Buc-ee's machine there in that Silverado. 3rd in line. He's been quiet all night. He's been really by himself a majority of this night here. Watch out for that 26 machine because I got a good feeling about him. You know, you don't know how these races are obviously going to end here. So, I mean, will he be able to get that help from behind with the 13 machine? Will anybody else help him? That's the question I'd say, but I think this 26 machine's got a really good shot. He's just got to get around these Ghost guys.
Here's my prediction. I think if the 1 stays up top, the 1 wins the race. I think if the 1 goes down in front of the 15, I still think the 1 wins this race. I don't think Grim Reaper can push as well as some of these other trucks. So wherever this 1 puts himself, this is going to be it. Green flag is out the 15 with an excellent jump, and they actually allowed the 1 slide in P2. At least he wanted to for a second. Comes back up in front of the 85. I don't think this outside is going to go anywhere without the 1 in front. So we're going to see here, he's going to hold that top spot here. Michael Hayes is going to lead him on the backstretch.
I think the 71 there, Jeremy, I think he wanted to crowd the 85 up in the tri-oval and just didn't have enough in him. And then the 1 machine realized this top is still coming in a hurry, so I got to jump up here. And now with a lap and a half to go, where are you going to go? You see everybody trying to shuffle out of line, figure out what lane is best for them. The 26 hung out to dry in the middle. Will he have anybody come down to help? He might be able to get clear. He will, so he'll stay fourth in lineup at the top with the 85 of Justin LeBlanc all over the one machine coming to the white flag this time.
We are going to be green flag at the start-finish line, so next flag will settle this race here. 3 wide, row number 3. LeBlanc pinches off the Grim Reaper truck there. So close, 4 wide. Entering turn number 1 for the final time this evening. They still hold 4 wide, beating and banging. Oh, the teammates wreck each other. The 1 gets shoved out of the way by the 71. They're wrecking to the backstretch. The 26 falls out of line. Now it's all up to the 15 of Honeycutt, who gets a great push from one of his teammates, Adam Thompson here. And here we go. Big one happening on the backstretch, heading up to turn 3.
And they're coming off turn number 3 and 4 for the final time, Jeremy. DJ Honeycutt still able to hold it, but here comes the 13 of Stephen Hayes to the outside for the final time off 4.
Steve Hayes, part of that last caution wreck there. 3 wide on the front straightaway. Who gets it done? 5 wide. Everybody wrecking. And the 89 of Bobby Mantle passes several trucks, and they're going to have to go back and review that one because they were clearly below the yellow line. I don't know how that's going to fly, but at the moment this time, the 89 does bring it home.
Now let's just bring this into the talks real quick. Think about this. Now, folks, iRacing deems it not a penalty for going below the double yellow line here at Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta. You are allowed to do that under official rules. But depending on how the league views this, this might not go to Bobby Mantle. But look at the run he gets. They're 5 wide, for gosh sakes, coming across. He just door checks the 71, uses them to his advantage, and you can't blame him. He's all the way down there. It's either run into the grass or try to come back up, and he gets the 3-for-1 special. And oh my goodness, holy cow.
He was the 6th truck in that pack there, went to the bottom and passed 5 trucks in a half a trioval time to get to that start-finish line. We got to keep up to date on their on the rule book and how this race is going to be officially called. Right now, he's got the checker flag in hand, obviously here, scoring P1 on the pylon. But I believe he was the start of that wreck, and he did it way below the yellow line. So it's so tough to call this one, at least from our perspective, being new to Global Racing League. But man, oh man, what a crazy finish for us to watch. 5 wide. I have never seen this in a league event.
I tell you what, Dustin, I'm going to be the nagging broadcaster that I am, and I'm going to ask you to give us the onboard of this 89 of Bobby Mantle here, coming off turn 4. Let's see how far he is. What does he do here off these corners? I mean, because coming off turn 4, he's got this great run, uses it, and again, he's going to run into that grass. You see him already, he's got this massive run, and he times it just perfect, and he's either going to run into the grass or get up towards the racing surface. And it's not like he meant to door check the 71. He's just trying to make sure he stays out of the grass. The 71's up on the safer barrier, tailgate up and into the catch fence. Thankfully, it's, virtual world. No fans were injured in the making of that finish. So, I mean, what a job by Bobby Mantle. Heads up driving by him to drive down to the bottom of the apron when you know it's legal in iRacing. So, again, like you said, Jeremy, we're going to have to keep up. We're going to have to see what the officials say here in their chats. Maybe it's legal. Maybe it's not. We're about to find out possibly here. Again, already some people in their driver chat already for their committee or whatever you want to call it. Tyler Honeycutt already asking, was he allowed to pass below the WL line? We haven't heard anything back yet, and we're going to see if this 89 is. Yeah, if not, if not, this does go to the 99. Hold on, Dustin. Let's just try to fast forward it a little bit further until the 99 hits the line, because if that's the case, what if the 13... Okay, never mind. He doesn't, so forget anything I was just saying. This would go to the 99 for sure if this 89 is DQ'd.
And this would DQ 2 people, right? This would DQ the 89 and the 71. The 71 also went below the double yellow to make the advancement on the 15. If it is the rule, and seeing in the chats, I see a nope come up for the we allowed to pass the below the double yellow line. So this chat is currently live, and we're going to figure this out in real time. So we're going to look for an official call here. I think we're going to kick it over to a full commercial break, full screen rather. And we're going to see what we can do to sort this out. But the top 3 currently on the official pylon, they are in the waiting channel. So we're going to kick it full commercial break here, get the final call if we can. We'll be back here after a few messages. And back here to the Martin Sports Post Race Show, where we've been under a nice little hold of who indeed won the race, and I think we just got official word that the top three will hold true. There is not a rule in the rule book that states yellow line passing is not allowed. So Jason said right before we kicked it over that iRacing allows it, but if the league says otherwise, then it's ruled differently. And I think we're official. So we're going to go ahead and start rolling off with our third place finisher, the number 13 of Stephen Hayes. Steven, this is Jeremy and Jason in the Nerd TV booth. You got a copy?
Okay.
Man, after that first and only caution, I thought you were done, and then things happened in front of you, and you found a way to get yourself on the top and almost win this dang thing. After that wreck happened, did you think you had a truck left? And if so, like, how did you get up there?
Man, that was a weird wreck. I know I slowed down, but I hit them with force, and I got hit on, front, left, and right. And for sure, I thought I had a minute or two, but went down pits, had 0 seconds of damage. So I was like, yeah, I'm in this thing. And then kind of lucked out and found my way up to the front, and didn't get pushes that I needed, but was able to get a top three. So that's as much as I could ask for on these type of tracks.
And Steven, congratulations, obviously, on finishing up there on the podium, man. Just take us through the night, because in our honesty, I mean, that was one of the weirdest Daytona races we have ever seen. You guys were single file for 3/4 of the race. The last 20 laps, everybody tries to race. There's 4, 5, 6 lap trucks up at the front of the field. You guys are all trying to get it settled out. Just take us through your night and what you thought of tonight.
Yeah, so first, 2 green flag runs is just making it through them and not wrecking. So, I mean, it's good on everybody keeping it single file and not crashing, which, bravo to everybody. We got some new drivers and they did really good in this league, this race, and proud of them. But that last green flag run and after that caution, I mean, it's everyone for themselves, right? So we're all fighting and banging, and it gets 3 wide with 20 to go, and I start getting nervous. I laid back and, just trying to figure out what to do, and I didn't know what to do, but really it just all came down to that yellow flag really helped seal the deal on what I wanted to do there.
Yeah, we didn't know what to do either. Trying to call the lanes when you had lap down trucks leading the pack, it's like how do you tackle this, right? And so things happened, and then all of them separated themselves with a couple laps to go, and you found yourself in P3 after the chaos there at the finish line at the checkers. But floor is yours, man. Final thoughts before we let you go this evening.
Well, I'm just glad us as a team could stick together. Mark Sherwood unfortunately had some speeding penalties, which was a bummer, but we were able to catch up again. And Danny on that last green flag pit stop spun out coming out, so that was rough. But all in all, Lone Star had a really good night, and I'm just really glad to get a top 3 here, and good for the points,
Yeah, if you can walk away top 3 at Daytona anytime, that's huge for your season there for sure. But man, congratulations there on P3 once again, and we will catch you next week.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes, sir. That was number 13 of Stephen Hayes there in that Whataburger Chevrolet Silverado. And now it's time to bring in second place there, Ghost Motorsports driver, number 99, Austin McGill. Congratulations on podium second place finish, man.
Thank you.
So walk us through your last couple of laps there. It was pretty uneventful for the most part, minus the weirdness of the lead lap or lap down trucks in the front. But that final wreck there coming to the line, you on the top. Did you think you had it? Did you expect 5 wide there at the finish?
No, definitely not 5 wide. I had a run coming to 3 and 4 on the last lap. I wanted to go high because obviously I want to go for the win. Then there was another guy behind me coming with a run, but it was somebody else's teammate, so I kind of had a feeling he wasn't going to push me. But I'm more than happy with the second place after starting like 12th, 13th on that last restart. So all in all, I have nothing to be upset about.
And Austin, congratulations, man, on coming home P2. And I only got one question: have you ever been involved in a finish that chaotic, that insane, 5 wide coming across the line, man? I was on the edge of my seat just as a broadcaster calling it, man. I'm sure Jeremy was, and it was exciting for us, man. What did you think of it?
It was absolutely ridiculous. I don't, like you said, I've never been in a finish that chaotic and that exciting before. 5 wide coming to the line, that's definitely something you don't see every day. So, I mean, if we can race like this all season, I think we're gonna have a hell of a time.
Yeah, 100% there. Good, strong performance there in the draft for your entire team there. But final thoughts, man. Floor is yours. What do you got for us before we let you go?
Not much. Just want to say thanks to all my teammates. We worked really well today. Um, Pitch strategy was great. Thanks to you guys for taking on the broadcast this season. Um, Hopefully everything rolls smoothly. And I just want to say thanks to everybody else in the league for, putting on a good race.
Yeah, appreciate that word, man. And yeah, hopefully things are super smooth all season long for your team and for us over here broadcasting the Global Racing League. But go ahead and celebrate with the team. Awesome job, P2. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. That was the number 99, Austin McGill. And now it's time to bring in the very popular man right now, the one to bring it 5 wide to bring home the checker flag from 6th place in that pack to first. Bobby Mantle, congratulations on the trophy. That move, man, I know that double yellow line's there, and people think in real life, hey, we can't use it, it's not allowed. But iRacing allows it. And so did you know that coming off of turn 4 that that was an option for you, knowing the rule book did not call for it to be disallowed?
I didn't know it was in the rulebook. My understanding was on the final lap coming out of turn 4, all asphalt is open game. So I went for it. If I happen to get penalized for it, if they happen to rule against it, so be it. We'll just use this incident for clarification in the future. But hopefully the ruling sticks in my favor and I still walk out of here with the win.
Yeah, and Bobby, congratulations, man, on probably one of the most badass wins I've ever seen coming to the line at Daytona. That was really freaking sick. I mean, coming off turn 4, you guys were 3, then 4, then 5 wide. I just asked Austin this, man. Have you ever been in a finish that chaotic here, especially to Super Speedway, where it's usually frowned upon going below there? But like Jeremy said, and like you had mentioned, that down below that WL line here on iRacing, that's all fair game here.
Yeah, I don't know. It was definitely chaotic. It's probably one of our craziest finishes here at a super speedway. Definitely one to go down the history books for the league. It'll be a staple going forward, and hopefully we'll get the ruling clarified for that. But no, it was definitely a lot of fun, and like you said, chaotic.
It's very, I'm gonna do a follow up too. That's very interesting. Half the race was the main pack was led by a lap down truck, and then we ended up with a 5 wide finish here. It's just so many oddities for me calling a race in any situation, period. So, man, that's crazy for me in 6th in the pack to be in P1 there. Excellent job of just knowing where to be and how to get it done. And I think it's going to stick. It's not in the rule book, so I think you're clear, at least on my end that I'm looking at. But congrats once more. Hell of a job. Grim Reaper Motorsports did great overall as a teamwork. The pit stops worked flawlessly. You were able to earn some positions from pit road, going from like 6th or 7th back to P1 for a little bit. So just great teamwork there. But floor is yours. Final thoughts before we let you go.
I think it was a great season opener. We're glad to have you guys as our broadcasters this season. The show you guys put on at the duels was great. Can't wait to go back and watch the carnage unfold in this one. I gotta say, big shout out to the team, Grim Reaper Motorsports. We're gonna show up here every single week and be a force to reckon with.
Well, get the job done, man. We're looking forward to see what your team can do every single week. And go and celebrate with the team, man. Well earned. Job well done. We'll catch you next Sunday.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. That was the number 89, Bobby Mantle. And Jason. Whew, that was a weird race. Very calm first half, led by a bunch of lap down trucks. 5 wide crash at the end. Yeah, that was, Bobby said it was one of the weirdest ones in history for the league. I think this is the weirdest one for me, period.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Hey, look, there's Walter finally decided to show his bald head.
Hey,
He's got a little bit of peach fuzz up here, though, just a little bit.
look at him
But hey,
post-COVID.
what a
I knocked out Jason, my bad.
yeah, a
You
little
broke
bit.
him. You broke him.
Yeah, now I can't come back next week. I can't come back for Tuesday. But listen, all jokes aside, one of the weirdest damn Daytona races we have probably ever seen here on the sim, especially out of my now year coming up, calling races with you guys. And out of my 2 years of broadcasting experience, I have never seen a race play out like that. You had everything from the drama coming to pit road, the teammates, the tandeming, the open setups, who was going to be the faster team coming in here. It looked like it was going to be Grim Reaper. Then it was like, oh, maybe it's Lone Star Racing. Wait a minute, maybe it's Ghost Motorsports. But at the end, it ended up being Bobby Mansell there with Grim Reaper, with Grim Reaper Motorsports. They did a hell of a job all night long, really dominated by 3 teams primarily. Chaotic, man. Everything. The fact that the whole race pretty much, or at least a half of the race rather, was dominated by 5 lap trucks and then made it 2 at the very end, and then driver etiquette. They all left. They said, hey, we don't want to start anything. And they're not even the ones who started anything. It ended up being the drivers on the lead lap themselves causing it. Gave us a classic finish we will never forget here on Nerd TV to open up 2024 besides the duels last week, man. It was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to Las Vegas here coming up.
I see Brian Fine late in the chat saying, Dustin, giving you a shout out, man. Which this guy to my left-hand side, he is going to be the cameraman for all of the season, I do believe, and he might even join in for some broadcast. Who knows? He's always the wild card and where he's going to be full-time for each week. But we appreciate you, man. And if you have any gripes or any awesome complaints or awesome shout-outs, rather, send it over to that guy. That guy's he's the man behind the mission here, and appreciate you all joining in here for our YouTube coverage for the Global Sim Racing Truck Series from Daytona. We have a new outro for you nerd fans who have followed us last year, so we're going to sign it off right now. Jason, Dustin, appreciate you very much. We're going to catch you Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the RSR Next Gen Cup Series. But until then, you guys, stay safe. Get your nerd on.
This presentation is brought to you in part by
Martin Sports. Get the apparel, look stylish, be badass with apparel from Martin Sports. martinsports.gg. iRacing iFlag. Must-have flag marshaling system for any aspiring sim racer. Get yours today at iracingiflag.com. Boomer button boxes. Total sim control at your fingertips. boomerbuttonboxes.com. If you race hard, then you need to rock hard.
And no station gets you harder than
iRock935.com. If you're a collector and that's your game, then Dusty Pete's, that's the name. DustyPete's.com. TWRS. Got the rig? Got the sim? Now get the speed with setups from TeamWatsonRacing.com.